History is full of inventions that were never supposed to work. Many of them were the result of accidents, mistakes, or experiments gone wrong. Yet, they ended up revolutionizing our lives. In today's video, we're counting down 10 of the most unexpected inventions that shouldn't have worked, but did, and how they've changed the world forever. The X-ray discovery. In 1895, German physicist Wilhelm Röntgen was experimenting with cathode rays, a type of energy beam that was poorly understood at the time. Röntgen wasn't expecting anything unusual. He simply wanted to observe how these rays behaved when they passed through certain materials. But something caught his eye across the room. A fluorescent screen began to glow, even though it wasn't in the direct path of the rays. This puzzled Röntgen. He blocked the rays with a piece of cardboard, expecting the screen to go dark, but it kept glowing. Something invisible was passing through solid objects. To investigate further, Röntgen did something that would change science forever. He placed his hand in front of the screen. To his amazement, he saw the outline of his own bones. Röntgen had just discovered a new type of ray, what he called X-rays, since their exact nature was still unknown. Within weeks, doctors were using X-rays to see inside the human body without surgery, revolutionizing medicine. What was once an accident in the lab became one of the most important medical tools in history, the invention of Velcro. In 1941, Swiss engineer Georges de Mestral wasn't expecting to make any discoveries during a simple hike with his dog. But when he returned home, he noticed something that most of us find irritating. His clothes and his dog's fur were covered in burdock burrs. While most people would brush them off and move on, de Mestral's curiosity got the better of him. He decided to investigate why these burrs stuck so well. Under a microscope, he saw the answer. The burrs were covered in tiny hooks that latched onto the loops of fabric and fur. This sparked an idea. What if this natural mechanism could be replicated? For the next decade, de Mestral experimented with different materials, trying to replicate nature's design. Eventually, he developed a two-part system, one side with tiny hooks, the other with loops that could easily be fastened and unfastened. He called his invention Velcro, combining the French words for velvet, velours, and hook crochet. The invention of the slinky. Naval engineer Richard James was hard at work during World War II, trying to create a device that would keep delicate instruments on naval ships stable, even in rough seas. One day, while working with tension springs, something unexpected happened. As James was handling a standard metal spring, he accidentally knocked it off a shelf. Instead of simply falling, the spring seemed to defy expectations. It walked down a stack of books and then onto the floor. This unusual movement caught his attention. What was just an ordinary spring suddenly had potential as something more. Seeing the potential for fun, James and his wife Betty began experimenting, trying to recreate that captivating motion. After much trial and error, they found the perfect design. In 1945, they launched the Slinky, a simple toy made from a coil of metal that could walk downstairs and perform other tricks. What began as a humble spring intended for naval equipment became one of the most iconic toys of all time. The first artificial sweetener. Sometimes groundbreaking discoveries happen when you least expect them. In 1879, chemist Konstantin Fahlberg was working in his lab on coal tar derivatives, substances that were far from anything related to food. After a long day, Fahlberg went home for dinner, not realizing he was about to make a historic discovery. While eating, Fahlberg noticed something strange. His bread tasted unusually sweet, almost too sweet. Confused, he checked his food but couldn't find the source of the sweetness. Then it hit him: he hadn't washed his hands properly after leaving the lab. Rushing back to the lab, Fahlberg began testing the substances he had been working with. Finally, he identified the compound responsible, benzoic sulfamide, which would later be named saccharin, the world's first artificial sweetener. Saccharin was hundreds of times sweeter than sugar, but it had no calories. It quickly became a popular sugar substitute, especially for diabetics and those looking to reduce their sugar intake. By the early 20th century, it was being used in everything from soft drinks to baked goods, revolutionizing the food industry. The invention of the microwave oven. In 1945, Percy Spencer, an engineer working on radar technology during World War II, stumbled upon one such breakthrough while testing magnetrons, devices that generate microwaves for radar systems. What he didn't realize was that his life, and how we cook food, was about to change. While standing in front of an active radar set, Spencer noticed something odd. The chocolate bar in his pocket had melted, even though the room wasn't hot. Intrigued, he wondered if the microwaves generated by the magnetron were responsible. Eager to test his theory, Spencer placed some popcorn kernels near the magnetron. and they began popping almost immediately. He realized that the microwaves were heating the food without fire or traditional cooking methods. This accidental discovery sparked an idea: could these microwaves be harnessed to cook food quickly? Spencer got to work, designing the first microwave oven. The early models were large, cumbersome, and expensive, standing over 5 feet tall and weighing several hundred pounds. But the potential was clear: food could be cooked in a fraction of the time it took using traditional methods. The invention of the Post-it note. Not every invention starts out the way it was intended. In 1968, 3M chemist Spencer Silver was working on a project to create a super strong adhesive for use in the aerospace industry. But instead, he ended up developing something very different: a weak, low-tack adhesive that seemed useless at the time. Silver's adhesive could stick to surfaces but could also be removed easily without leaving any residue. It wasn't strong enough for industrial use, so the project was shelved. But Silver didn't give up on his discovery. He believed there had to be a practical use for this seemingly useless adhesive. Enter Art Fry, another 3M employee who, while singing in his church choir, faced a simple but annoying problem: his bookmarks kept slipping out of his hymnal. Remembering Silver's unusual adhesive, Fry had a eureka moment. What if he used the adhesive to create sticky bookmarks that could be repositioned over and over again? Fry created a prototype by applying the adhesive to small pieces of paper, and they worked perfectly as reusable bookmarks. He realized the potential didn't stop at just bookmarks. These little sticky notes could be used for reminders, notes, and more. By 1980, the product was refined and officially launched as Post-it notes. They quickly became a staple in offices, schools, and homes worldwide, used for everything from jotting down quick thoughts to organizing projects. The invention of bubble wrap. In 1957, two engineers, Alfred Fielding and Mark Chavannes, were trying to create a new kind of textured wallpaper by fusing two plastic sheets together. They were hoping to create a product that would give walls a modern, bubble-like appearance. What they ended up with was something else entirely. After sealing the sheets of plastic, they noticed something unexpected: air bubbles had formed between the layers. While their idea for wallpaper didn't work out, they knew they had stumbled upon something unique. Fielding and Chavannes believed their invention had other potential uses. It took a few years of trial and error before they found the perfect application. Then, in 1960, they had a breakthrough: what if bubble wrap could be used as protective packaging? It turned out to be the perfect solution for safely shipping delicate items. Once they repurposed bubble wrap as packaging, it became a massive success. The product was quickly adopted by companies to protect fragile items during shipping. The discovery of penicillin. Sometimes, the most important discoveries come from sheer luck. In 1928, Alexander Fleming, a Scottish bacteriologist, returned to his lab after a vacation. What he found waiting for him would change the world of medicine forever. Among the stacks of petri dishes, one stood out. A mysterious mold had started growing in the dish, but even more surprising, the bacteria surrounding the mold were gone. Fleming realized this was no ordinary contamination. Something in the mold was killing the bacteria. Fleming identified the mold as Penicillium notatum, and after some testing, he confirmed that the substance it produced had remarkable antibacterial properties. This was the beginning of what we now know as penicillin, the first true antibiotic. The discovery of the pacemaker. In 1956, engineer Wilson Greatbatch was working on a device to record heartbeats, which he hoped would be a valuable tool for researchers studying heart rhythms. But a simple mistake during his work would lead to a life-saving device used by millions today. One day, while assembling the device, Greatbatch mistakenly used the wrong part, a resistor with a different electrical capacity than he intended. Instead of recording heartbeats, the device began emitting steady, rhythmic pulses. Rather than discarding his mistake, Greatbatch realized the potential of this rhythmic pulse. He knew that the human heart relies on regular electrical impulses to beat correctly. What if his device could mimic this rhythm and help patients with irregular heartbeats? After refining the design, Greatbatch developed the first implantable pacemaker. In 1960, doctors successfully implanted it in a patient, and the results were remarkable. The device effectively regulated the patient's heartbeat. The fascinating stories behind some of the world's most incredible inventions that, against all odds, changed our lives. From accidental discoveries to ingenious solutions for everyday problems, these innovations remind us that sometimes the greatest ideas come from unexpected places. If you enjoyed this journey through accidental inventions and want to discover more intriguing stories from the world of innovation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Share your favorite invention in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep your curiosity alive. Who knows what incredible discoveries await just around the corner?